Shabbat shalom, my friends. Well, last week I had a delightfully surprising week. Last Shabbat I put before this community the notion of aspirational theodicy. If you didn't fall asleep during the presentation, you'll remember. I had never before expressed publicly how attracted I was to the idea that we go astray when we assert that God controls our cosmos with justice. Is it possible, just possible, that justice is something that all sentient beings yearn for, aspire toward, but which in no way is guaranteed by God? Aspirational theodicy identifies God with the awareness of and the yearning for justice. God, aware of justice, yearning for justice. But aspirational theology won't get involved in those conversations which seek to find excuses and reasons whereby God seemed to have given up justice in a given circumstance, but in fact, justice is hidden in there someplace. That's gone. I asked for comments, and I'm thrilled to share with you that I received a number of comments. Some were quite extensive, long. Some were intrigued by the idea, and some, to be perfectly fair, were repulsed by my having removed from God the power to establish justice through an act of divine will. And there were others who said, I left things out, and they helped fill in the blanks. My mailbox is still open. I welcome more of your thoughts. Well, here we are. The Hebrew month of Elul, the last month of the Hebrew calendar year, begins Friday evening, August 26th. Rosh Hashanah will arrive on Sunday, September 25th. From now until Rosh Hashanah, traditional Jews engage in slichot, in penitential prayer seeking forgiveness. So let's dedicate our study this week to awareness of the season to which we are now entering. Our Sedra is Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 26 and following. The books of commentary on Deuteronomy devote an astonishing amount of space to the texts found in this week's Sedra. This is really what we used to call a kolbo. Just so much is in it. The people have a choice between life and death, blessings, curses. The Israelites can accept their destiny and treasure it, or can they reject that destiny and struggle to become just like every other nation on earth? The choice is theirs. The choice is theirs, but the repercussions for their decisions will be quite serious. Our Sedra wants us to know that we're free, but we also bear some very serious responsibilities. We will make our choices, free choices, but we cannot escape their consequences. We're free to worship God with joy, with simcha, and the kind of joy that awaits us is not just a personal, intense feeling or pleasure, but a shared collective experience. Simcha is a collective experience of feeling good and right about ourselves because we are all doing the right things. Typical of Deuteronomy, the word tzedakah is everywhere in our Sedra, over and over. Doing what's right, tzedakah. Doing what benefits the collective. Doing tzedakah through acts of material sharing, but also through acts of sincere caring. Social justice is much more than just a simple giving of charity. In our Sedra's mind, when everything that we do has a solid basis in our commitment to respect the dignity of others, then we are in fact choosing life, choosing blessing, doing what the Sedra is commanding, exhorting us to do. Okay. I am increasingly intrigued by the language of our Sedra. On the surface, what did I say? It's the language of command, of covenant, of obligation, of exhortation. Thou shalt, thou must, thou will. Fine. There are acts to perform. So, ladies and gentlemen, perform them. There are behaviors to avoid. So avoid them. There are offerings to be brought to Jerusalem. Bring the offerings. There are ways to slaughter animals. Slaughter the animals properly, because all of this reflects the will of God. But biblical Hebrew is kind of funny. Sometimes the future and the past tenses are a bit difficult to separate out. Sometimes a command is actually closer to being a description. There is, of course, a complex biblical grammar with all of its rules and the exceptions, but still, there is a little space in the language for a bit of interesting exploration and what I would call creative conjecture. That's what we're going to do here. What I am going to suggest probably violates large chapters of Hebrew biblical grammar. So let's just assume that it's all right to violate those chapters just once, only for today. Here we go. What if? What if we read our text so that God is heard to say, I am giving to you right now at this very moment a series of options, of possibilities. Now let's put aside all that you've heard about the happenings at Mount Sinai, Israelites. Yeah, you all heard about Mount Sinai. Right now, I am unfolding before you a way for you to live. Because, folks, Torah isn't really a chronicle of ancient happenings, but rather it is describing experiences that are going on right now in the here and in the now. Relax into this. We're doing a thought experiment. What if? At this moment in time, if we're reading it differently, you have choices to make. You, not the ancient Israelites. You. Your life daily forces you to choose between blessings and curses. And that's going on right now as we speak, as you're listening, as we're studying together. It is happening now. In the office, at home, on the soccer field, in the voting booth, right now, you are choosing whether to act the way that others seem to be acting, or whether you will accept the risk and touch base with your own ethical core. You now, this instant, are staring at matters of social and economic justice right now, so that the choices you make now, this moment, 5 minutes from now, the choices that you will make now, one by one, are shaping the ground upon which you will then make tomorrow's choices. Get that? You are shaping what tomorrow will look like by virtue of what you are deciding today. Think about that. You aren't waiting for some divine voice to ring out and tell you what you should be doing. Hey, you, do this. You aren't playing a minor role in the daydreams of the Creator God. You are making choices that one by one, those choices shape the direction of your own future. With every choice, with every act, you are creating a world that never before existed. It's a whole different way of reading our Sedra. The language of our Sedra can perhaps be read as emergent language, process language. Folks, we aren't ever going to reenact the behaviors of the generation of those who lived for 40 years in the wilderness. We will never find ourselves joining the masses of our people as they came to Jerusalem offering the Passover sacrifices. Life, real life, actual life, is happening all around us. The universe is constantly creating, emitting, erupting new possibilities. And we, by every decision we make, we are constantly making some of those possibilities into our own unique treasures. What if it isn't God who is keeping a spreadsheet of the choices we are making every day, every hour, but rather those choices, our choices, the choices we make are actually altering existence. Think of that. What you do now, 10 minutes from now, you are actually altering existence in ways both large and small. When our Sedra tells the ancients to be wary of false prophets, what if the text really should be read as reminding us that today and tomorrow, those who would cheat and deceive us are commanding our attention, and how we respond to such deception is shaping what the day after tomorrow will look like. Those charlatans aren't shaping it. We are shaping it by our responses to what is going on in our lives. Life is happening all around us. And we're not passive. We're not floating on the sea. We are active agents in determining what the emerging world of tomorrow will actually look like. Let me close with this. Hypothetical. What if today's Sedra began, behold, blessings and curses are swirling around you. With each choice you make, a new world is born. So choose wisely. Shabbat Shalom. You want to write about this to me too? I'm more than willing. Interesting stuff. It's a way of looking at the Sedra. Quite frankly, hasn't been looked at it that way in a long time. It's a new way of reading Torah. Think about it. Have a good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.